Good afternoon. My name is Mark Goodman. I represent SCORE Chicago. You're watching live interactive call-in TV here on CAN TV 21. This is actually our second show today. We did a makeup show at 4 o'clock. My guest today is Kasra Moshkani. Okay, Kasra has a fascinating project to help people get a job.
Yes, absolutely, Mark.
Okay, this is a live call-in show, and if you do have a question, you give us a call at 312-738-1060. Daryl over here is on the phone, and she'll talk to you and, get a sense for your call and get you on the air. If you have a question and you don't want to go on the air, you can call in on this show, and you can give Daryl your question. She'll write it down and pass it off to you. That being said, let's do a little bit of SCORE bookkeeping right now. It's August 29th, and we have HireBrite. That's Kasra's company. And this show here, we record. It goes live, and then we record it and we put it on our Blip TV channel. So let's do a few more slides here and just tell you a little bit about the SCORE story. Okay, at SCORE, we help people if they want to start or buy a business, and we help people with SPI, getting their business plan put together for SBA lending, help people with strategic issues on sales declining or growing, and we do quite a bit of work helping people market their show on the internet. What's happening is this is part of our series, TV Time for Small Business. This show goes every Thursday at 5:30 until, the end of September. And you can also get our shows on the internet, and I'll give you that information. The other thing is we'll be doing a special presentation on October 3rd as part of Crane's Small Business Week. And we have the Small Business Expo on October 4th. The Small Business Expo is kind of the culmination of Crane's Small Business Week. I'd encourage you to research it if you can attend. It's at the UIC Forum at Halstead and Roosevelt Road on October 4th, and it's sponsored by the Chicago City Treasurer. You get more information on the Small Business Expo at the Treasurer's website, that's chicagocitytreasurer.com. Okay, so Kasra, we've gone through our introductions here. This is the culmination of our elevator pitch contest. So I ask each one of the interviewees to start out and give the audience their elevator pitch. So tell them your elevator pitch.
Thanks, Mark. So hello, everybody. My name is Kasra. I am the CEO and founder of HireBrite. We're a web platform that helps startups and high-growth companies hire students for jobs and internships. So small entrepreneurial companies are amazing places for students to start their careers. But unfortunately, these companies don't have the budget to travel to career fairs and conduct informations on campuses. And that's where HireBrite comes in. So HireBrite allows these companies to build profiles that really showcase their businesses.
So, go ahead.
Companies pay to market their opportunities to students and also to host group video chats to meet students from across the country.
So if I'm a company, how do I build my profile on HireBrite?
Absolutely. So typically, the companies that we work with, we have an initial consultation. So the companies are, given that we work with startups and small, kind of high-growth businesses, they tend to be in the technology industry. So we work with the recruiters, with the management team to understand their hiring needs for the next school year or hiring season. And the goal of the profile is to really showcase the things that matter most to students. So what do students care most about? And through our consultation, we kind of create the profile to showcase those specific things about a particular customer.
So what do students care about?
That's a great question. So students tend to care about, there are a couple of things. Part of it is, who is the team that I'm going to be working with? Can I get along with these people? Are they smarter than me? Am I going to learn a lot from them?
Okay.
And the second thing that comes up really, really often, which initially was a surprise to me, is can I have an impact on the world through my work? So is this going to make the world a better place? And can I, through my role at this particular company, kind of help shape the direction of the company?
All right, so give me an example of a company that you worked for and how you shaped their profile so that I, as a prospective student, felt like this is a company where I can impact the world.
Sure. So an example of a company that we've worked with in the past is Blue Jeans Network. They're a VC-funded technology company on the West Coast.
Blue Jeans
Blue
Network.
Jeans Network.
Okay.
And what they do is video conferencing solutions. And so we worked with the head of recruiting there, Trisha, and we basically tried to understand both the roles that Blue Jeans is hiring for, in addition to the culture of the company. So one of the things that we really try to capture through our platform, through the student and company profiles, is not just what is the role, what will I be doing functionally, but more what is the actual environment? Is it social? Is philanthropy an important part of it?
How did you help Blue Jeans Network explain to a prospective student their culture?
Sure. So with Blue Jeans in particular, they had never done college recruiting, but they're sort of at a point in the life cycle of their business where college recruiting is more important. They need interns. They need full-time talent coming out of schools in order to shape and kind of grow the talent pipeline of their business. And so in order to kind of make that very tangible for prospective hires, we interviewed two of their recent grad hires. So asking them, what was your college experience like, and how did that evolve into your experience at Blue Jeans? What is a day in the life of your role at Blue Jeans look like? What are examples of specific projects you're working on? What kind of tools are you using? What are you learning, etc.?
So how do I know if my business is ready for college recruiting? I mean, I hear stories, well, you should go hire an intern because they're cheap. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, they'll do that kind of stuff that, you don't really want to do.
Sure.
So how do I know if my company is ready for college recruiting as you've characterized it?
Sure. And so at HireBrite, we work with companies that are kind of range from 2 people all the way to a couple hundred people. Again, what these companies have in common is that they're all very entrepreneurial and kind of young and fast-growing companies. But the thing, what I tell recruiting teams and managers to look for with regard to when they're ready for college recruiting is, do you have the time and the resources to provide the mentorship and the training that someone who doesn't have a ton of experience but is very smart can come into a role and really work on tangible things that add value to the company?
So you're telling me that if I want to hire an intern, I have to be willing to make some kind of commitment to that intern, that I'm going to spend time with them to help them feel like they have an impact in the world?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I think companies often forget is that internships and, internships in particular are meant to be sort of a two-way street. They're supposed to be beneficial for both parties. And so to the extent that you are ready to kind of make that commitment, and it doesn't have to be a big commitment, maybe an hour or 2 a week, that will result in a beneficial relationship for the student. And as, they feel that they're getting what they want out of the relationship, they'll make sure that they're doing their work well, and you as the employer are getting the value as well.
Okay. I want to ask one more question on this general theme, and then I want to ask you a question about how you actually make money.
Sure.
But you talk about a platform.
Mm-hmm.
What is a platform?
Sure. So we're building a two-sided network, and so we have the platform used by the employers and by the students. I'll kind of walk through.
Two-sided network?
A two-sided network. So essentially, we're a marketplace connecting employers that are looking to hire students to students. Right. So on one hand, we're trying to get more and more employers for the students, and on the other hand, we're going out and marketing to the students to match them with the companies. With regard to what a platform is specifically, on the employer side, we create, as I mentioned previously, a profile that really showcases your company. Companies can also use our platform to post specific jobs, and then we'll in turn go out and do email marketing to the students. And the other piece of it is this video chat platform, right? So they can host their video chats again through our website. On the student side, basically, we work with career services to get students on our platform, and the students upload their resumes. They fill out profiles that show their preferences and the things that they're looking for in a job, and through the website, each side can indicate interest in the other.
Okay, we have a call. We're going to go ahead and listen to that caller. Hello, caller. You have a question for us? You have to get a little closer to the phone. We really can't hear you. If you can, call into Daryl again and she'll write down your question. Thanks. So we'll see if he calls back with the question. But Kasra, how do you make money? Who do you sell to, and how do they pay? What do they pay you for?
Sure, that's a good question. Again, going back to this notion that we're a two-sided network. So our service will always be free to the students. We want to be a resource for them to find opportunities, find companies that they otherwise may not discover. So how we make money is from the employers.
Okay.
And so they're our primary customers. And the way it works is when companies come to us, again, we do that initial consultation, and we sell them a package that fits their needs. So it's sort of a tailored package depending on the types of students they want to hire, how many they want to hire, when they want to hire, if there are specific types of students or universities they want to target. So basically, the companies are paying for a package of or a combination of three potential things. The first is having a presence on our platform through their profile.
Okay.
The second is kind of having us market their opportunities, whether it's jobs or internships, through email. And the third is hosting these video chats.
So how do you market my job through email?
So part of the process when students sign up is they tell us a lot about kind of their background, their GPA, their skills, and their preferences for the types of jobs and also the type of work environment. And so we work with companies up front to understand exactly what that means, what they're looking for. And we'll go and do very targeted email marketing, showcasing jobs, showcasing a particular company. If a company is doing, if they're running a contest or something like that, we'll market that as well for them.
Okay. So you talk about, a cost and a range here. So if I have one job and I have 5 people in my companies, what approximately would it cost me?
Generally, what we charge companies is anywhere from about $1,000 up to about $15,000.
Okay.
And it, what you described is sort of at that lower range. So you're kind of just starting to get into college recruiting. You may not have a whole lot of demand or a whole lot of need, but on the other end of it, you're sort of in a position where your company might be approaching 100 people. You can't hire quickly enough, and so we're the outlet for you to do that. And then let me mention one more thing, Mark. So
Sure.
You asked the question about how we make money. So one of our primary customer sets is the companies directly. We work with a couple of other paying customers as well. So one of our kind of metrics that we measure in how we grow our business is working with communities and sort of cities.
Okay.
And when I say communities, I refer to communities like 1871, which is a co-working space in downtown Chicago, home to 225 vetted startups that are growing their businesses. And so 1871, for example, is one of our customers. So they've hired HireBrite to serve as the venue, the channel through which their 225 startups recruit interns and full-time hires throughout the year. So that's another example of a paying customer. The other piece of it is the cities. So we've worked with Chicago, sort of in the context of bringing talent and retaining talent, specifically technical talent to the city. But we actually just awarded a contract with the New York City government, the local government out there, the Bloomberg administration. One of their big initiatives, similar to Chicago, is helping their technology scene, their startups, be seen as a very attractive and viable option for college students. And so our objective in working with them over the next year is to help kind of raise that awareness and ultimately get students hired into jobs and internships in New York City.
So if you are running an incubator, or possibly I do some work with science parks.
Okay.
Okay, and there's a range of different companies in there. You might be interested in signing a contract with the science park, and they would make that available to all of the tenants.
Exactly.
Within the science park. And that would be kind of a custom deal because on one dimension the park would have a profile, on another dimension all of the tenants would have a profile too.
Exactly.
So that would kind of be a special deal that you would kind of pull together here.
Exactly.
Good.
And one of the things we're very proud of is that To date, we've gotten 150 students hired into jobs and internships at companies sort of across the country, but 100 of those are right here in Chicago and in the 1871 Startup Hub. So relationships like that, where we're working with sort of a hub, an incubator, have worked out really well for us.
So I think the fun thing about working with Kasra and his team is that if you have an idea, give them a call and they'll put something together especially for you. Okay, I want to kind of go down and ask a couple questions here that I want to make sure we get to, and then we may go further up in the list. But tell me about your experience working with your SCORE mentor.
Absolutely. So it's been very exciting, and there are two aspects to it. I think one of them is pretty unique. So the first has been our mentor Frank Whelan has been great. So there are two aspects to it that have made that relationship great. The first is he has genuinely been interested in getting to know our company.
Okay.
And we have
Did
spent
that
a lot of time.
surprise you that he was genuinely
No,
interested in getting to know you?
not at all. But I mean, he spent a lot of time thinking very critically about sort of our challenges, how we present ourselves at a kind of high-level strategy point of view, which is always refreshing because as entrepreneurs we're so close to the problem. The other aspect of it, in particular working with Frank, has been that he doesn't have a background in recruiting per se, but he has had a very long career in banking, and he's hired a lot of students and a lot of seasoned professionals. Mm-hmm. So he has great perspective as an employer as well, which has been very helpful for us. The other aspect of SCORE that's interesting for us is, SCORE focuses on companies that are small and entrepreneurial, which, that is our target market. So we've reached out to the chapter president in order to explore potential partnership opportunities wherein we're helpful to SCORE companies with regard to recruiting interns and full-time hires out of universities.
So the idea here being is that if you could certainly put together a cooperative environment for somebody like 1871, at the same dimension you could put together a cooperative environment working with a lot of other groups, SCORE being one
Exactly.
of them. Okay.
Exactly.
The other people I might suggest to look at some of the chambers.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. And we've done some similar work with venture capital funds as well. So a consortium of companies that have a shared need. So I think that's great.
Okay, so who's your competition here?
So competition comes from a couple of different levels. So as a company looking to hire students, basically you have the option of going on campus yourself, right? But typically a trip like that will cost about $5,000 per campus, so it's very expensive. The other competitor that comes up in conversation a lot is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn obviously is a professional social network.
So how is HireBrite different than LinkedIn?
So one of the subtleties about LinkedIn is, LinkedIn is great for people who have had professional experience, have a network. College students don't have that, right? So it's not a very natural tool for them. And the ones who are on, for that reason, the college demographic is actually one of the smallest demographics on LinkedIn, and the students who are on there don't find a whole lot of utility from it. We're different from LinkedIn in that we're focused on this particular demographic. We're more kind of marketing oriented, in that we help students and companies discover each other, and we have this video aspect of it.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about this video aspect
Sure.
of your
Sure.
platform. So the video aspect is part of your platform.
It is. It is part of the platform.
Okay.
So the idea is, for a lot of large employers, one of the most successful things they do is go on campus, send someone on campus who is an employee, and they go to a large auditorium, a classroom, and they host a large group of students. They talk about their company, they talk about opportunities available. So as we were building our product, the question came up, okay, how do we recreate this experience for companies that can't send people to a bunch of different campuses? And what we've built is essentially a virtual information session, okay. Right? So imagine 20 to 30 targeted students get on a video chat with one employer, right? So we work up front with the employer to understand specifically the types of students that they want. We go and invite those students. The employer gets all of their resumes beforehand, and the employer gets an hour on video chat, multi-way video chat, in that the speaker can interact and the students can interact back. The company gets an hour with these students to talk about their company, to talk about specific challenges that they're working on, specific opportunities, and the idea is, these are companies that can't necessarily travel, but as a student, you can come and meet them. You can hear directly from someone you might be working with. So at the end of the day, it's like an in-person in-person information session, except it's all virtual. You don't have to leave your office. We can target specifically the types of students that you want, and you're going to meet students from across the country in one session.
Well, one of the other real nice advantages is it's likely that most of them will show up. I mean, one of the real, nightmares, or not nightmares you have, but concerns that you have when you're doing one of these campus visits is you're scheduled to be in this auditorium or this room from 11 to 12 o'clock in the morning, and you have no idea if anybody's going to show up or not.
Exactly. So we take RSVPs beforehand. We've kind of got that piece of it down to a science.
Okay. Now, how do you imagine HireBrite, say, 2 or 3 years from now? Where do you see it going?
Sure. So, our vision for the business over the next couple of years is to really become the go-to place for students who are interested in companies that aren't necessarily visiting campus. So to that end, today we're working with about 15 universities. During our pilot this past year, we partnered with Harvard, University of Chicago, University of Illinois. We'd like to increase that number threefold over the next 2 years, and on each of those campuses sort of become the recognized brand for students that are looking for alternative and more entrepreneurial opportunities. And then on the employer side, as I mentioned, we've kind of established and started ourselves in Chicago. We've recently established a foothold through our relationship with the New York City government, but we'll look to sort of expand to these various hubs around the country as well.
So you're really, from a expansion point of view, looking to go down two paths. One is to expand your relationship with universities, and then also look at these hubs. Now, if I'm a university recruiter,
Mm-hmm.
Why should I really pick you as opposed to the other people out there? What are you going to offer me?
Sure, from the company perspective?
Yeah.
Sure. So, the example that I always use to make the point here is there's a large public technology company on the West Coast, right? And every year they hire hundreds of interns, hundreds of full-time hires right out of university. And they have a team of 20 dedicated just to university recruiting. And that team of 20 visits just 15 schools,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they have tons and tons of resources going after the same students that you do. So how do you compete with that? HireBrite is the way that you compete with that.
So on one end, there's the set of schools everybody goes to. One of your targets maybe is schools that maybe everybody doesn't go to.
So that's part of it. That's definitely part of it.
I do need to ask you one question
Sure.
before we end up. I only have a few more minutes. If you win the $5,000 first prize, how do you intend to use it to help grow your business?
So, we have two specific projects that we're very excited for the $5,000. The first one is, as I mentioned and we've discussed, is these virtual video sessions, right? Typically, the way that we've done them has been one company with a group of students. One of the things we're going to do is recreate that, except we're going to invite 15 to 20 companies to do it simultaneously so that it's sort of like a virtual career fair.
Okay.
So for in anticipation of next summer for interns, we'll hold a virtual career fair, working also with some of the smaller companies that we don't typically work with. And then the second thing that we're really excited about for the $5,000 is taking entrepreneurs to do panel sessions at some of the local Chicago schools that we work with. So there's no replacement for having someone who's gone through the entrepreneurial experience, works at a small company, come and explain that, kind of share their story, tell students what it's like to work at a smaller company, and kind of present that as a viable option.
Okay, I want to thank Kasra for being our guest. I'm going to do a little bit more bookkeeping here. So we are now have two more people left, Susan Good and Ariane Fisher. SCORE, once again, you have free counseling and mentoring. We have an online appointment system. We do workshops and training. If you want to reach us on social media, we're at Score Chicago on Twitter, YouTube Score Chicago Video. This show will be up on Blip TV, and visit us on our website. If you want to reach out to us using or the phone, you can email us at scorechicago.org or give us a call at 312-353-7724. Kasra, once again, thank you for being our guest, and we'll see you next week.